happened in the community of Haywood County? I know you've been one of the oldest members of Rotary of Waynesville. And
I am the oldest.
You are the oldest living one.
Oldest living.
Yeah. When did you join the Rotary group?
I get the beginning of. I became county attorney in 1971. I joined Rotary in 1980, I guess it was.
Okay.
And I was president shortly after that. I'm not sure exactly what year I joined Rotary. It's in that book that I handed out the other day. But I've been in there a long time.
Yeah, I know we'll be celebrating the 100-year anniversary of Rotary next year, and they've asked you and myself to work together for whatever we're going to put on, and we'll be able to get some good information about the early days of Rotary. But I know you're celebrated as our oldest current member for sure.
Ralph Kaufman was the oldest.
Yes.
And then Bruce Briggs. After that, I guess it was Bruce Briggs who helped do this work here for the Historical Society. I think it was Bruce. I'm the oldest one that's there now.
Whatever happened to Ralph Kaufman? Have you heard anything?
He's alive still, I think.
Yeah, I know he was in what do you call it? The permanent care facility.
And his son Steve, was in Rotary, and he came for a long time without Rolf, and he didn't come anymore.
Well, there's a whole lot of people in Rotary that go way back to their ancestors, and it's a good group of people.
There's a great history too about the industries in Hazelwood, which Rolf has played a big part in the development of Welco. But you can go back and there's great stories. In fact, one time, the Historical Association had a program on industries, the history of industries in Haywood County.
Yes.
And Alex McCabe put that on.
Mm-hmm. I remember that because they had Sam Wiggins and Rolf and Bo Prevost and all that. And I went to that. Well, you'll have to see after we're done talking. We've got an industrial heritage room upstairs. It's got Daco, Champion, Welco, all kinds of things from there. That is a permanent exhibit now.
And Haywood County, especially Hazelwood, was a very industrialized community.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got nothing left. Now even the mill in Canton's gone now.
Yeah.
Giles Chemical's still there, but I don't know how many employees they have.
Why was Hazelwood such a big industrial area?
I don't really know. It might have been partly because of the railroad that came through there. That could deliver stuff and carry stuff away. Might have been because of the railroad, I'm not sure.
I know one of the first businesses was Junaluska Tannery that became A.C. Lawrence and all that.
Yes.
And that was 1890 something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's right after the railroad came in. So it probably had to do with the logging and the way that hides were processed at that time.
I think so. The other is the alleys and the Browns. And the Brown, because Walter Brown married the Shook, the descendant of David Shook, married her. So that's that connection. And then their daughter. Anyway, they connected into Walter Brown at that point. But so that's the Browns and the Shooks and Killians. And then the other ones are the alleys, and they came from Casher's Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was born in Casher's Valley. My grandmother, her mother, came from Oklahoma. She was a Cherokee Indian.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the history of all that at home. That I came from my Uncle Ted Purcell.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was last name was Purcell. But they went back to the Trail of Tears. If you traced it back. But in Oklahoma, the Cherokee were a small group. The only ones that were there really were the ones that had come from western North Carolina. And they were adopted, so to speak, by the Shawnee. Because the Shawnee was a much larger tribe. And so the rolls, and I was on the rolls. But my children are both on the rolls to this day. I was on the rolls out there in Oklahoma, the Shawnee Cherokee rolls. So my grandmother married her husband, who was the Doyle Alley, the lawyer descendant from the Cassius Valley Alleys. She married Dole and met him in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they were both working at the time, and he got her to move with him to Waynesville. Had 4 children. One of them was my mother, the oldest. And Uncle Zeb, who's a famous lawyer and lobbyist in North Carolina, was the next oldest, and then Uncle Jack was the next one. He's an NC State graduate. And Uncle Jack worked for DuPont for a year for his career.
Okay.
Plus, he was an Air Force officer, veteran. Then the youngest one was Charles, was a musician, PhD in music from Florida State. And so none of them ever lived in Waynesville again except for Zeb. But Zeb was like me; he lived part of the time in Raleigh and part of the time here.
Mm-hmm. Well, besides Jacob Shook, were any of your relatives on the Revolutionary? Did they fight in the Revolution?
I'm sure some of those Killians did.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Andreas Killian's sons did. I used to go to the Killian reunion in Conover, North Carolina, each fall.
Mm-hmm.
But when COVID came along, they stopped having it. Now I've got to find out if they're going to have it again this year. Because I used to be on the board. I used to go to those things in Conover. Conover's right near Hickory in Catawba County. But I'm sure some of them did fight in the Revolution. But I was told that some of them fought for the colonists and some fought for the king.